Hey everybody, welcome to my booth. I'm Jay and happy Thursday. Today's sample is from Aaron. It's an audiobook sample, one of a couple of audiobooks that they're publishing now or soon or have done recently. And they're looking for just any processing notes that we might be able to offer. So we're going to do that. And then if we have time, we'll talk about performance notes if we need. Before we dive in though, hey, if you like this stuff and you find it helpful, there's buttons down there, helps me out, and I appreciate it very much. You can also, if you would like me to review audio like this of yours, there's a form in the description. Fill it out and send me something, and we'll do one of these ASAP. And lastly, there's coaching on my website, if that's more your thing. This is a pretty short sample, so I think we'll just listen to the whole thing so that we know the story that we're getting into, and then we'll go back and talk about stuff.
You lost, Stretcher. The voice twanged like basso lute strings, echoing around the alley, accompanied by heavy footfalls. Nobody wanders around the dump at night without a poor wish. A second voice, deeper and more cultured than the first, spoke into the murky half-light. Tong, be kind to the poor soul. Judging from the purse plumes, he's run afoul of someone on high. Enemy of my enemy, as they say. Framed by the backdrop of the night coals floating in the distance, Tyrion saw the outline of a 7-foot wall with horns. He pushed himself off the wall, fists up by his temples, ready to fight? This didn't feel like him at all. It felt tense, strange, and uncomfortably warm. Wait, nope, he just accidentally crushed the box of ramen, squashed noodles spilling out over his left foot. Still tense and strange, though.
Awesome. Yeah, I really like your read here, Aaron. It's really, really nice, really lively, wonderful character voices, but we'll dive into that in a second because you're curious about processing first. In terms of processing, the overall, I think it sounds okay. The big thing that I want to check is if we go to the loudness tab here and we drag your audio over, we can see here that your RMS and your peak values are a bit quiet relative to what the industry standard would be for an audiobook. So if you're publishing this on ACX or Findaway Voices, Spotify, whatever the distributor is, they'll probably need you to pump up the volume a bit here. And luckily, if you have compressed this audio pretty heftily, not in a super extreme way, but because you have it compressed so much, you could probably just turn this up a few dB overall. And you can see here, it should pop up in a second. We'll drag this over and see if it changes. No. Let's try going back and back. There we go. So yeah, just by turning up the volume on that overall a little bit, we're in the parameters that we need to be. Now, that said, you've compressed this to a level that you could probably back off a bit just to give yourself a little bit more of a natural tone to it. It still sounds fine overall to me, but you want to, in audiobooks, generally compress as little as possible, because overcompression can become fatiguing for the listener over time, and it can result in some, if you do it too much, it can result in some frequency imbalances. So where that's showing up right now is if I turn this up just a smidge more to it where it's hitting -3 dB where it should be, and we listen to the S's, those have become pretty powerful relative to the rest of your audio. Let's give it a listen.
The voice twanged like basso lute strings, echoing around the alley, accompanied by heavy footfalls. Nobody wanders around the dump at night without a poor wish.
So the sh on wish is really punchy, and the basso lute strings here, those are also pretty sharp and whistly. And so if you dial back on your compression in the initial processing, those will not be as pronounced relative to the other bits of sound going on. Additionally, you could just throw on a de-esser of sorts. Pardon me. So if we just leave this on and let it play, we'll see in this gain reduction, it'll take those S's down a fair amount.
The voice twanged like basso lute strings, echoing around the alley, accompanied by heavy footfalls. Nobody wanders around the dump at night without a poor wish.
So you see that's taking it down, and in listening to it, it's tamed it a fair amount. If I were to use a de-esser at this stage, you'd want to dial it in a bit more to be a bit more surgical, really look for those S's. I've got a video somewhere on this channel about it. That, and then I'm not sure if you're using a gate or expander at all.
Poor wish. A second voice, deeper and more cultured than the first, spoke into the murky half-light. Tong.
It sounds, pardon me, I've had this dry cough for like a week and it's killing me. Part of me, because there's sort of a background ambient noise going on when you speak that goes away when you're not speaking. This is if you want to get super persnickety. This doesn't bother me very much, if at all, personally speaking. Some publishers, they might get a little bit, they might turn their nose up at this a smidge. But many folks, like if I'm working with a publisher, they don't want any sort of noise reduction or gating going on in the interstitial spaces, just because it causes sort of a subconscious listener experience situation of sorts. So if you wanted to, again, this doesn't bother me, but if you wanted to explore not using an expander or noise reduction thing, that might be something you could explore.
The enemy of my enemy, as they say. Framed by the backdrop of the night coals floating in the distance, Tyrion saw the outline.
But ultimately, I think the main note that I have for you is just dial back your compression a bit, and I think it'll sound good. I mean, it sounds good right now, but that would be my one big note for you. But great work. It sounds awesome, and I love this story. Before I forget, let us know where we can find this book down there, because I'm sure folks would be interested. Now we have loads of a bit of time to talk about dry cough. No, to talk about performance stuff. Overall, great performance. The things that I love, obviously, your characters are really rich. I get a good image of who they are. The space they're inhabiting, your switch from narrator to character dialogue is also really lovely and pronounced. These would be sort of directorial choices, because honestly, I dig your performance overall pretty much. Enough said, take it or leave it. If I were to do it or advise you, this is kind of like personal preference stuff. So all that to say, take these next notes with a grain of salt. And if you want to try them, Godspeed. If you're like, Jay, go away, by all means, I will leave. So my first one is this bit.
He pushed himself off the wall, fists up by his temples, ready to fight?
The fight? Just because contextually here, I think the delivery of the joke that he's like ready to fight, it kind of takes it, in my interpretation of simply the text, if we were to remove your performance from it, he surprises himself. This character spins around, whirls up. I do think you could pace down that bit. You can still maintain the urgency, energy, shock of he spins around and is ready to go without rattling through really quickly, just so that we're sure that the listener can follow along with you. But to me, the fight is less so a like, and the way it's delivered now, it kind of takes me out of it. And I would love if it was a little bit more grounded. If I'm a person and I surprise myself, I'm like, hey, I'm going to take you on. I'm going to fight you now. This doesn't feel like me. This feels weird. Something's off. Oh, I sat on the ramen, and grounding it more so in that, and then I think, the punchline, because the way it's happening now too energetically, the fight is so high energy and, I don't know how to describe it, but the fight jumps out at me the way you're delivering it. Then I spend time wondering about the why that was delivered with the fight, and I sort of miss the punchline because we've spent all our energy on fight, and then we're missing the punchline of, "Oh, he sat on his ramen. That's what's going on." He is not courageous at all. He just slipped. But also he's weird and tense too. And so by sort of delaying the gratifying punchline there, I think it may have a bit more of an opportunity for a payoff. Again, directorial, personal preference. I would probably do it that way. Take it or leave it. I do think that the way you're doing it is just fine, and I really like it as is too. My other thoughts are simply overall, I think your pacing, you could afford to just downshift a gear or half a gear. For example, if we listen to just this first section, I'll turn the de-esser on.
Around the alley, accompanied by heavy footfalls. Nobody wanders.
The switch from accompanied by heavy footfalls and then the switch into dialogue. Let's try it by just adding a little bit of time or space there. We'll listen to it one more time without added space, just to get a sort of palate cleanser.
You lost, Stretcher. The voice twanged like basso lute strings, echoing around the alley, accompanied by heavy footfalls. Nobody wanders around the dump at night without a poor wish.
Okay. We'll add it on the front side too, and just a fraction of a second.
You lost, Stretcher. The voice twanged like basso lute strings, echoing around the alley, accompanied by heavy footfalls. Nobody wanders around the dump at night without a poor.
So even just like that had to have been like 0.2 seconds. But for my mind, it allows me to go from the character silhouetted over there going, "So, future Jay here." I realized that the audio cut out at that point exactly about 3 minutes after I was talking, so forgive me if these ideas sound disjointed, but just those couple little seconds, that 0.2 seconds of space, allows my mind's eye to track somewhat cinematically, if we're to think of it as maybe camera shots. Here's the silhouetted figure. You're lost. And then me understanding, oh, the voice is echoing around the space, like, and then the footfalls. No one comes here without a death wish. And that just allows me time to switch back and forth and follow along, if you wanted to downshift a smidge. The last thing that I'll say is in this narrator section, you're doing a really great job of all of this, and I just would reinforce or say you could go further if you wanted to in letting us in on what this situation imports a bit. Because here on the fight, you're very clearly adopting the point of view of these characters that are backing up into the thing, getting threatened, defending themselves. And I think that that's really, really great and lovely. And you can bring a little bit of that into this first one as we're listening to the voice echoing around. Are we afraid? Are we... So you could think of it as either adopting the emotional timbre of these characters as you are in the fight. Well, no, it was actually just the... and you're doing a great job, too, of jumping between, like, character sort of emotional adoption and the narrator's like, oh, no, he just fell on his ramen. That's all. But another way I like to think of it is... sort of the musical underscore of it. If we were to give this a soundtrack, what would it be? You lost, stranger? Boom, 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 boom. Whatever it might be. I'm not a composer, as you may tell. Anyway, I hope this was helpful for you. I really enjoyed digging into this one, Aaron. And again, please let us know where we can find this guy. And until the next one of these, everybody, I will see you there. Be well. Toodles.